Gida kishin yo kameri long ba ki tay kidang resong balabo kumbala sang kidang yai na kidang yai sang yakasadam kipim kunda.
H. Wahalong is 87 years old, but age has only added a magical timbre to his voice. All his life, his talent took him to places far beyond his little village. But now this is where he comes back very often. The sacred forest that was nurtured by his ancestors hundreds of years ago. He believes that even today, the spirits of his ancestors live here and quietly look after his village. It was somewhere around the 15th century, a small tribe travelled from the hills of Jaintia and settled in a village called Maflong. Their ancestral mother reminded that the kingdom was incomplete without a sacred forest. She was revered deeply and her wish was fulfilled. The villagers sanctified a large forest. And every generation that lived here ever since guarded it with unwavering faith. Today, more than 500 years later, the sacred forest remains pristine and dense, but much else around it has changed. Located in northeast India, in the East Khasi Hills of Meghalaya, Maflong is a short drive away from Shillong. Life has its own easy rhythm here, but Sunday mornings are different. The hymns resonate far in the valley. Everyone must reach in time for the church service. Maflong is inhabited mostly by Christian Khasis, one of the main ethnic groups of Meghalaya. When they migrated to India thousands of years ago from Southeast Asia, they brought with them a very different religion and culture. They believed in a formless god, the Ublai, who could not be confined to a temple or a holy book. At the same time, the Khasis were worshippers of nature, who believed in gods and goddesses of rivers and streams and jungles. Their religion was based on pleasing the good and evil spirits through animal sacrifice.
The Khasis believe that because everything is creation of God, they would not like to destroy it unnecessarily. They would make use of it, and they would use just the right amount, optimize use of resources.
Around the 1830s, the British imperialists built a road through northeast India, and along came a big wave of Christian missionaries. Thereafter, the spread of Christianity was swift. To begin with, the missionaries wrote the Khasi language with Roman letters and translated the Bible into Khasi. Today, most Khasis practice the Christian faith. Benis Karshing and her husband are native Khasis from Maflong. The Khasi society follows a matriarchal system in which women are recognized as the head of the family. Benis inherited the ancestral house from her mother. It's one of the few old houses in the village made of wood. Benis loves to cook hearty meals for her large family of sisters, daughters and other relatives who live close by. Her elder sister, Fenis, is a confident matriarch who always holds the center of attention in the family. Fenis is very proud of her lineage. Her family belongs to a minority, those who still practice the ancient Khasi religion.
We Khasis, we are special, we can say. Our forefathers had already made some rules and laws for the future generation, so that we can preserve, we can follow, we can be good people, and the whole world will be beautiful as it was before.
On occasions when the Karshing family gets together, the chilly evenings don't pass without song and music. In its folklore too, Maflong's identity is closely linked with its sacred forest. The sacred forest looks distinct against a large expanse of grassland. Ancient monoliths stand like sentinels of the forest. Inside, the cicada calls out fervently for a mate. The forest is well preserved, despite the fact that most of Maflong's people no longer practice the native Khasi religion. But they still feel this forest is a living bond with their ancestors. This sentiment has kept it safe for generations. Many old trees have given way with time, but have not been cleared. Sacred relics remind of an era gone by.
This is the place where we used to do the sacrifice of a brown bull, which we do only the time when the case is a major case, like the time of epidemic, the time of war, the time of plague. And this is done only when the case is a major case, in which the latest is done in the year 1959.
You have been doing an excellent job for the last 20 years.
Tambor Lingdo and Professor Barak, a botanist, met nearly 2 decades ago.
Sacred forest into a really
Both have learnt immensely from each other.
heritage. Say for example this tree, we say it as Myrica esculenta. What do you say in your local language?
In a local language we call it Sopi.
Sophie.
Sopi.
It was only after many discussions with the professor and his team that the villagers realized their forest was a rich hub of biodiversity.
And I would like to ask you this.
Together they documented nearly 700 plant species.
Okay.
From ferns and moss to creepers and orchids, the mosaic of the forest is intricate. Professor Barak says sacred forests are a gold mine of rare plants, which have medicinal value. For example, Taxus baccata, a tree plundered all around the world for its anti-cancer properties, flourishes carelessly in Maflong's sacred forest. The Indian ginseng, a herb known for its rejuvenating properties, also grows here. Scientists say historically sacred groves worked brilliantly as safety forests. In other words, they were a secure gene pool. It's hard not to wonder then if there was a deeper wisdom behind the act of dedicating the forest to the gods.
To our surprise, octogenarians, they are saying, yes, we conserve the sacred forest because of our religious beliefs, because of the whatever stories associated with it, but we also understand that these sacred forests, they provide us clean water, these sacred forests, they provide us good air to breathe. Also, if we have the sacred forest, then nearby paddy fields we get good bumper crops. So that day we were forced to believe that sacred forest conservation practice in Meghalaya or in any northeastern states is not merely a belief or a faith, it is also associated, or they have understood the conservation value of these forests.
Nowhere have sacred forests survived in isolation. The Constitution of Maflong, handwritten in 1915 by their ancestors, lays down the rules and laws related to different kinds of forests. Kilo Kintang, or the sacred forest, is a prohibited zone, meant to perform rituals. The villagers can meet their daily needs of firewood and forest produce from Kilo Raig, or the community forest. Heavy wood and medicinal plants can be drawn in times of crisis from Kilo Adong, or the protected forest. The sacred forest in Maflong has lived because people still follow this old system of managing their forests prudently. It's a cold morning in Maflong. The villagers are on their way to attend the darbar. In Meghalaya, the darbar is a traditional institution that looks after local administrative affairs. The darbar typically begins with 3 shouts to alert everyone. Maflong's darbar is a council of 20 villages, headed by a chief called Lingdo, who belongs to a priestly clan, and a team of ministers. With the growing popularity of Maflong's sacred forest, it is now attracting many visitors. The villagers feel it is getting difficult to preserve it as an undisturbed zone. Philip Singh, an old hand, has strong views. In Meghalaya, darbars have played an important role in conserving sacred forests. But it's not certain how long these islands of natural heritage will survive in the wake of modernization. Will the children of Maflong preserve it as dearly as the elders?
Malda kim don ka jinget ya kata. Kila penhiar no ya ka ed ka hima rungkat lu bade ka jai benriu.
Historically, sacred groves have been traced to the pre-agricultural, hunting and gathering stage of societies. They have been found all over the world. In India, they are present in almost every part of the landscape, associated mainly with tribal societies. In every region, they bear a different name. Devvans in the Himalayas, Devrai in the Western Ghats in Maharashtra, Devarakadu in Karnataka, and Orans in Rajasthan. These are the remnants of what was once widespread. The northeastern part of India is a particularly rich hub of sacred forests. We travelled east from the hills of Meghalaya to the valley of Imphal in Manipur, right on the edge of India's border with Myanmar. Legend says that gods discovered Manipur when they set out in search of an idyllic place to dance. The many dance forms of Manipur are known for their grace and simplicity, and also for depicting the earliest traditions of its society. Inspired by its natural beauty, Nehru called Manipur the jewel of the East. Nearly 70% of its population lives in the valley of Imphal, its capital city. Agriculture is their main occupation. Also in the Imphal Valley is Loktak Lake, the largest freshwater lake in northeast India. Being an important source of irrigation and drinking water, it's a lifeline for Manipur. Loktak is also known for its floating masses of soil and vegetation, locally called phumries. Hundreds of families live permanently on the phumries and lead a simple, quiet life. They spend most of the day on the lake, trying to catch as much fish as they can. No wonder then that life in Loktak revolves around drying, cooking, eating and selling fish. The Metis are the main ethnic group of Manipur. Their indigenous religion says that spirits reside not just in humans, but also in every element of nature. It centers on the veneration of such spirits or deities called Lai. These spirits sometimes reside in sacred forests called Umang Lai, meaning the abode of invisible deities. Manipur is home to over 350 Umang Lai. tall bamboo poles like these are commonly found in the Umanglai. They symbolize a sacred offering to the deity. During the 18th century, a Hindu cult called Vaishnavism swept Manipur and converted the Metis to Hinduism. Today they are largely considered Hindus. But in practice, they follow a mix of their ethnic faith and Vaishnavism. Along with the popular Hindu gods, they worship a pantheon of gods and goddesses from their ancient faith. The key functionary in the Metis religion is a priestess or Maibi. She is endowed with the power to be possessed by the deity so that she can deliver his message to the devotees. Andhro is a village close to Imphal, inhabited by the Metis. Here, the temple complex is an important archaeological site. No one from outside the community can enter its premises. It houses a sacred fire, which the villagers say has been burning continually for over 2,000 years. Anthropologists support this belief, as it matches with the phase of human inhabitation in Manipur in 33 AD. This means Andhro may be one of the oldest sites of the valley. Not very open to outsiders, the village is governed by a committee of elders that controls all political and religious affairs. One of the precious relics they have secretly guarded is an old manuscript of their ancestors, which escaped the violent spree of the ruling Hindu kings. The village committee also guards the sacred forest of Andhro. Their deity lives here at all times and is taken to the village temple only during festivals. He is at the core of everything significant in the village, from birth and death to festivals, weddings, and sowing and harvest. The villagers believe that if anyone harms the forest, the deity will punish him.
First of all, Umanglai gods and goddesses are clan specific, so it's a kind of important clan identity. Second thing is an important nucleus of society to decide many things, especially do's and don'ts about from where to extract what kind of natural resource. Especially we have seen in places like villages like Andhro, where they are very demarcated. The institution which is responsible for Umanglai rituals decides from where villagers should extract firewood, from where villagers should not interfere in terms of natural areas, especially the parts of the pressings of Umanglai.
Quite evidently, the forest has flourished because of these beliefs and taboos. A pond near the forest foothills provides drinking water to the village. The fields are fertile. The villagers believe these are the blessings of the deity.
Mahaki mapandagi masigi aikogi maharajna lai sigi maramda yengbiramba adigi mana aikoida piramba asigi damukta aikogi ngasi phawada androna ngasi yamna nuaina leiribasi magi mapandagine maramaduna aikoi mipung khudingmakna magi lamda leiriba pumnamase aikoina guard tawa hojak.
Every year, the Metis celebrate a beautiful festival dedicated to the Umanglai, the forest deities who created the universe. Known as Lahorabba, the festival mirrors the entire culture of the people of Manipur. It begins with the Maibi, invoking the deity from water. Soon she goes into a trance and gets possessed by the deity. His spirit is ceremonially carried in an earthen pot to the sacred grove. Here, the deity observes a series of rituals over the course of several days. The Metis believe that by performing Lahorabba, they please the gods, who in turn bless them with happiness and prosperity. The festival is not just about prayers and rituals. It has a good share of fun and frolic. A number of sports and vibrant dances are performed, so that the deity can also enjoy himself. From the valley of Manipur, we move to the plains of the northeast and sail across the river Brahmaputra to an island called Majuli. Majuli, the world's largest riverine island, is located right in the middle of the river. Its only connection with the outside world is a ferry service that links it to the town of Jorhat. With a population of nearly 1.6 lakh people, Majuli has the energy of a small town, hurriedly catching up with urbanization. But apart from a few trappings of the modern world, it is still a sleepy agrarian town. Fishing is a passionate vocation here. On bright and breezy days, the entire village comes together for community fishing. Here, the joys of life are indeed simple. Being a wetland, the island's natural beauty is immense. And so is its cultural life. Every year, Majuli celebrates the colorful Ras Leela festival that recreates the life of Lord Krishna. Its vibrancy reflects the artistic talent of its people. The present-day culture of Majuli is rooted in an extraordinary past. In the early 16th century, a saint called Shankardev visited the island. This was a phase when cults like Shaktism and Tantrism were spreading rapidly in Assam. Its society was under the spell of occult rituals in the name of religion. In this social milieu, Shankar Dev brought the Vaishnav Bhakti movement to Assam that had already become popular in other parts of medieval India. Discarding the burdens of caste and rituals, Vaishnavism preached devotion to a single god, Krishna, who could be worshipped simply by remembering his many names. Today, Shankar Dev's legacy is alive in the form of monasteries called satras. Where followers lead a spiritual life under the guidance of a guru.
Mayado Brahmane Prukta Dharma Jaisang Madatmako. Tetia Bhagavane Koise Uddhavak e Prashnakhini ba.
He set up this institution first in Majuli, which later spread to other parts of Assam. Some of these, like the Auniati Satra in Majuli, are as old as the 17th century. Usually, children are brought to or adopted by a satra at an early age. Here, they live a simple life, close to nature and trained to become monks. However, they attend regular schools and, if inclined, pursue higher education too. Shankar Dev was a multifaceted genius who used art and culture to spread his faith. He is known for creating the Kshatriya Nritya, a classical dance that celebrates devotion to Lord Krishna. In this rich cultural canvas, Shankar Dev also held strong views on conservation. Animal sacrifice was a common practice in those times. He persuaded his followers to end this practice. In Majuli, the satras reflect his philosophy. Inside their premises, hundreds of bird species live without the fear of being harmed. The most spectacular sight in the vicinity of a satra is this: the nesting site of a rare migratory bird called the lesser adjutant stork. Around the country, they are estimated to be less than 5,000 in number. Like many other wetland species, they have suffered due to the loss of their natural habitat. But in Majuli, they find a safe haven.
ये बर्ड्स ऐसा है आदमी का सामने नहीं आता है, हाँ दूर दूर में रहते हैं, लेकिन जब उसका नेस्ट बनाने के समय आ जाएंगे तब उसे हम लोग का मकान के सामने जो छोटा गस है उसमें भी आ जाते हैं और उसका लकड़ी लेकर ये नेस्ट बनाता है। हाँ, और ये संबंध है, ये संबंध हम भी उसको समझते हैं और ये पक्षी भी हमको समझते हैं जे हम लोग एक साथ हैं।
The cultural ethos of Majuli has influenced the entire society of Assam. But sadly, its own people face an uncertain future. The island is fighting a battle against erosion caused by the floodwaters of the Brahmaputra river. Over the last 60 years, it has swallowed more than half the island. There is little that can be done to stop this natural phenomenon, and it may be a matter of time before the island fades into oblivion. Will that also be the end of its ancient heritage? The believers say no. Majuli's legacy will outlive its place of origin.
जब तक शंकरदेव का प्रवर्तित जो सृष्ट जो संस्कृति का धारा है अभी तक चल रहा है, years together, generation after generation चल रहा है, वो जल्दी से खत्म होने वाला चीज नहीं होता है, क्योंकि ये हमारा ब्लड में है, रक्त प्रवाह में है।
It's difficult not to be touched by the conviction of such communities who have bravely carried their traditions into the modern age. Not surprising that these are rare stories. Many sacred natural sites around the country are slowly fading away. After all, human cultures can never be stagnant. They evolve and sometimes erode with time. But as science is now acknowledging sacred sites as hubs of biodiversity, they can no longer be seen as mere fixtures of faith. Now, more than ever before, human society may need to revive its ancient beliefs. This time, not for the benefit of the spirits, but to secure its own future.